So we've got a new Birds of Prey trailer, and it's Birds of Prey and what is it, like Miraculous Emancipation of Harley Quinn or something? It's a long title, I don't totally remember it. But the point is, I actually thought it looked pretty good. I wasn't sure if I was going to be into this movie, but I'm actually pretty excited about it. I mean, we won't know how good it'll be till we see it. But anyway, I've been wanting to do a Marvel and DC mashup video for a while, and I'm probably going to do a few Marvel DC mashup videos. But with that trailer having just come out, I thought, hey, why not do a Harley Quinn specific one? So I'm gonna take Harley Quinn and mash her up with a bunch of different Marvel heroes in this episode. And of course, the first thought to come to my head was Harley Quinn and Spider-Man, because drawing Spider-Man is just great, so let's start with that. Alright, now Harley Quinn, Spider-Man. This one I knew I wanted to do right off the bat, because as I've said many times, drawing Spider-Man is pretty much just one of my favorite things to draw, because there's so many awesome dynamic poses you can do with him. With this, I went with a kind of usual one that I often go with when drawing a Spider-Man character, just kind of one hand back, one hand shooting a web, although usually I'd have that backhand holding onto a web as if it's mid-swing, but instead I decided to put Harley's mallet hammer thing in that hand. I made it a bit bigger than it actually is in the Birds of Prey movie, but, you know, I like exaggerating things. And for this design, I knew one thing that I wanted to have was Harley Quinn's pigtails sticking out the side of her head. Pigtails, is that what they're called? Anyway, that hair kind of sticking out, because that's one of Harley Quinn's most iconic visuals. And originally I thought I was gonna go with the red and blue pattern, because that's Spider-Man's pattern as well, and that's Harley Quinn's usual pattern. But the reference images of Harley's costume that I'm using are from the new Birds of Prey movie. So I thought, okay, let's lean into that a little bit more. She's got sort of a gold, not jumpsuit, what are they, overalls? And then she's got a kind of like pink, man, I don't know what a lot of female clothes, the terms are for them. Whatever it is, like a crop top or something. Really short shirt, whatever that is. I decided to lean into that. I also decided to give her the Ben Reilly Spider-Man type web shooters, where it's like a bunch of little canisters sort of going around the wrists. And I end up making those gold as well. I just throw in a bit of gold around because I don't actually give her the overalls. I give her the sort of short shorts like she has in the other reference image I brought up, but make those kind of a bronzy goldish color. And I also make her webbing a little bit less uniform than a regular Spider-Man. I make it a little bit like Superior Spider-Man, or the later suit for Superior Spider-Man, where it's much more random sort of webbing, like the webs just go wherever, some of them split off a bit, because I really like that design, and because Harley's kind of a chaotic character, and that Superior Spider-Man design was a bit more of a chaotic Spider-Man, I thought that sort of webbing worked a little bit better. And I also made her Spider-Man emblem a little bit more spray painted, not quite spray painted, just I used a different textured brush to make it a little bit rougher, and then I have sort of webs kind of spewing out from there, not quite touching it, but just coming out as if it's a sort of focal point for all the other webs to come out from there. And then I also used some black bands on areas like around the shoulder and where her Spider-Man arm sleeve thing kind of starts, and where her shorts end. I got that idea from the Spider-Man Far From Home suit and Spider-Man Homecoming suit, where they use a lot of black bands on that, and I think that's kind of cool looking. And then for the expression, I thought I was gonna do sort of a I can never do that thing. One eyebrow down, one up, one eye smaller, one bigger. But then partway through I changed it to just being a bit of a grin, an exaggerated grin, but of course you can't see her mouth, so it had to come across in the eyes. And I'm pretty happy with that. It makes the character look a bit younger and peppier, and not as, not evil, but chaotic that Harley Quinn kind of is. But I still like how it looks. I'm happy with this one. Just after I finished this, I threw in just a little background, and yeah, here's our Harley Quinn Spider-Man mashup. Alright, next up we've got Iron Quinn, our Iron Man Harley Quinn mashup. And for this one I was thinking along the lines of Rescue, Pepper Potts' Iron Man suit from Avengers Endgame, and the comic book version of Rescue. I was looking at some images of that, trying to figure out how exactly to make this more Harley Quinn-like, because I can't really give the character any tattoos or something. I mean, I guess I didn't really do that on the Spider-Man one either, but one thing that I really wanted was to have the pigtails in some way. Are they pigtails? I think they're pigtails. Anyway, I wanted to have those in some way on there, and at first I thought of doing sort of like like flash style streaks coming out of the side that were just a bit more subtle. And I didn't really love those. They looked a little bit Thor Valkyrie looking, which is a cool thing to look like, but it's not what I was going for. And then I had the idea of, what if I just have these two floating things next to her head that are like the shape of those pigtail hair things? I was just like, that's really dumb, but dumb in a way that I kind of liked, so I just leaned into it. It kind of reminds me of that old show, I think it was My Life as a Teenage Robot. I think the character in that might have something like that. And anyway, I thought it was a silly thing, but Harley Quinn's a pretty silly character, so I liked that idea. I also liked the idea of having to put a little bit of painty texture in there. I have the character painted like a black streak across the eyes that I end up adding more in the coloring stage. And I thought that was kind of fun. That's something I actually got from my Pokemon as Superheroes episode that's coming out on Saturday that I'll mention again later. It's something that I did for a character in that, but I like that element. Because anything, having dark streaks near the eyes, I mean, this is a thing with makeup, I guess, too. The reason to put dark eyeliner on and stuff like that is because it makes eyes really pop out. And especially with a character like this, where Iron Man eyes, the eyes have a bit of a glow to them, I thought it would really make the eyes stand out. And I make the eyes a bit bigger because Harley Quinn's a goofy, fun, kiddish character. Not kiddish, but like, I don't know, you know what I mean, right? And actually, I think that might be my only problem with this, is making the eyes bigger made it so that she looks pretty young. Because it's really easy to make Harley Quinn look too young because she's got that very childish kind of hair. And having big eyes on a character always makes them look younger, and then I also made her head a little bit bigger. So she does probably look like, if I looked at this character not knowing what it was, I probably would have guessed they were like 15 or so, which is not what I was going for. But besides that, I like this one. I use the same colors as the last one, going off of the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn. A lot of pink and goldy yellow, which kind of works because Iron Man's colors are usually red and gold. And I put a few different heart and diamond kind of patterns around it, and I think this one really works. I probably could have worked in more elements to make it more Harley Quinn looking, but I still think it's a pretty cool looking Iron Man suit, or Iron Woman, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, it's all wrapped up now, so here is our Harley Quinn Iron Man. Alright, and last up we've got one that I definitely would not have thought was going to be my favorite, but it definitely turned out to be my favorite of the batch. What it is, it's Doctor Strange and Harley Quinn, and partway through I decided that I wasn't gonna go with the Birds of Prey movie Harley Quinn. I was like, let's change things up a little bit, so I went with my favorite comic book version of the character, which is drawn by Amanda Conner, and I think the artwork I brought in, the coloring's done by Alex Sinclair. Not sure who did the inking, sorry about that. But anyway, I really love this comic book version of the character, and I thought this was a good way to switch things up, and this one ends up being, even though it's my favorite drawing, that's more because of the rendering and all that, and how I do cool lightning thing kind of inspired by how Patrick Brown has drawn Doctor Strange in the past. But the actual idea of the mashup doesn't end up being super creative. Basically, I just end up taking Amanda Conner's Harley Quinn, giving her Doctor Strange's cape. I debated changing the color, but just ended up going with the usual red. And then I gave Harley Quinn that sort of weird mash of belts that Doctor Strange has. So it's not a super creative mashup, but the drawing itself turns out so well. I tried to really take a lot of inspiration from how Amanda Conner draws heads and faces, because this is the first drawing of Harley Quinn in this video where I actually have to draw a real face, because in the last two it's been covered up by a mask. And I really like how she draws faces. I think I'm going to start taking more inspiration from her work and look through her stuff more, because she does do a cartoony-er comic book style, which is very much my thing, as everyone knows from looking at any of my work. And that face is just such a perfect blend of comic and cartoon to me, and I try to replicate it a lot, and I think I did a pretty good job. And I also just love the hair. I tried to render the hair similarly to how Alex Sinclair has it colored in there, and just everything about this piece really seemed to come together nicely, even though at one point I thought I'd messed up the sort of weird lightning magic thing between her hands, but as I get farther into it and add a bit more lighting and use that to inform some of the lighting on the character's face and body, it just all comes together really nicely. So again, not a super creative mashup, but I love how the rendering turned out, so let me know what you all think. Here's our Dr. Quinn. I mean, that works because Harley Quinn is a doctor, but Harley Strange? That would be like they got married. I don't know, whatever you want to call the character, here she is. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode of Popcross Studios. Make sure you're subscribed and leave a like if you enjoyed this. On Saturday, an episode's coming out where I turn 10 different Pokemon into superheroes, and I really like how that video turned out, so, you know, subscribe, ring the bell, all that kind of stuff. And of course, let me know what other Marvel DC characters you'd like me to do mashups of in the comments below. And that's all for today. I'm Christian Pearson, this has been Popcross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye everybody.